Alright, let's start with Going Down to Cairo, the melodic version. I'm going to start with the first measure, including the pickup notes, this triplet figure that leads into it. Alright, let's look at the third measure of this line. Notice in order to get the strum at the end there, we have to drop the C chord, at least a partial version up here on the first two strings. I tend to put the whole chord down. And that takes us to the first measure of the second line. Do that again. Pay special attention here. We have an alternate string pull off in the second half of the measure. That note right there is happening because of my index finger here plucking the open second string. If you're not familiar with this yet, you will be if you stick with my materials. Also, you may not be familiar with the way I notate this in the tab. You see the number 1 down below. If you ever see a number where we should have our finger indicators, our right hand fingering, the number indicates that it's a left hand finger and it's telling you which finger to use to execute an alternate string pull off. Alright, one more time on that measure. You can learn more about alternate string pull-offs in my 30 Days to Better Banjo course if you want to study those a little more. Check that out at playbetterbanjo.com. Now let's move on. The second measure of this line. Alright. Now we'll move it on to the third line, first measure. Nothing special there. That's a repeat of the first measure of the tune. Second measure in this line. That's similar to the second measure of the tune with a little variation there at the end. Let's move on to line 4, measure 1. So here this is similar to the third measure of the tune where we introduce the alternate string pull off, but we have a little different ending going on. So depending on where you are with your left hand, I'm usually here up in the first position with my first index on the first fret. using my middle finger to play the 2nd fret note. And that makes it nice and convenient to pull off the open alternate string. And then I have to shift in order to get these next 2 notes. So I shift up to where my index finger's on the 2nd fret to catch that 2nd fret note on the 3rd string. Try that again. You might find a different fingering or a different slide scenario works for you as far as when to shift and which fingers to use. Just as always, remember when you're making these decisions about shifting and sliding that you make a decision and you stick with it and practice it consistently.